At the end of the decade, George Lucas faced one of the biggest challenges of his life. His 1977 film Star Wars was a global success, changing the landscape of cinema forever. Audiences flocked to theaters, with many seeing it multiple times. Star Wars boasted special effects and storytelling that had never been seen before on screen. It not only revolutionized the film industry, but became a massive merchandising machine, selling millions of toys and ephemera bearing the iconic space logo. And while Star Wars was the once-in-a-lifetime success whose reach extended further than George Lucas could ever imagine, he now faced the nerve-shattering attempt at replicating that excitement in the second chapter of what would become a franchise movie trilogy. To make The Empire Strikes Back, Lucas compiled a team consisting of those who worked on the first movie, as well as newer arrivals. Science fiction author Lee Brackett created the first draft of the script before her untimely death in 1978. Lucas then hired Lawrence Kasdan, writer of the Raiders of the Lost Ark script, to mold Brackett's draft into a fuller, more complete story. Irvin Kershner helmed the film as its director. Industrial Light and Magic, known as ILM, continued to push the limits of special effects and stop-motion animation. The main cast, consisting of Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Harrison Ford, David Prowse, Anthony Daniels, Kenny Baker, and Peter Mayhew, reprised their roles, as their characters explored new planets and faced new challenges in the sequel. And The Empire Strikes Back introduced new characters, like Billy D. Williams' Lando Calrissian, the bounty hunter Boba Fett, and the Jedi Master Yoda. 1977 Star Wars, now referred to as A New Hope, formed the foundation for the franchise. Lucas had established both the galaxy and the major characters that inhabited the planets he covered. He had also invented his own language and rhythm for storytelling. The Lucasfilm and ILM teams were tasked with continuing that story in a satisfying way, raising the stakes and thrilling audiences in the process. Lucas made it clear to Kasdan that Empire would be a different story from its predecessor, and the scriptwriter loved that plan. And while the first one was fast and light, entertaining audiences by moving them from scene to scene at an adventurous pace, Kasdan's talent lie in building relationships, in tension, and in moments between a film's characters. Talking about mixing his writing process with Lucas's, Kasdan said, "Sometimes it was clear that there was always this slight frisson, a tension between my desire to have the characters be a little more, have a little more depth, to let the love scenes play a little bit, to let Yoda's philosophy be heard, and always George's instinct to go fast, or faster, faster. And looking at the movie now, I think it really combines those things pretty well. And I'm amazed by how much action there is in it, and how well it works. And I'm amazed that there is a chance to know these characters. And the actors embrace that idea, of course, that now they had something more to play." Lucas also needed to remind his team of talent that they had accomplished the impossible in the past with the first film, and that they'd do it again. Discussing the art of movie making, he said, "Every movie, especially these kinds of movies, right from the beginning, the visual effects are always extremely challenging. And in every movie, I sort of pushed the goal line down a bit. And everybody panicked and said, 'We can't do this.' I'd have to go in and give them a pep talk that we could actually move on and do something that had never been done before. So that was always a challenge, just making sure the crew and everybody, especially the ILMers, had the enthusiasm to keep going. You have to be a cheerleader, and you have to just convince them that this will work, that it will be great." And while they were building upon a previously established story, they still faced an endless string of challenges. Aggressive weather conditions, budgetary constraints and pressures, and a looming deadline forced the Empire team to put their all into making this sequel work. Director Irvin Kershner reflected on what it was like to bring the worlds of The Empire Strikes Back to life. He said, "We were supposed to have 8 stages for 64 sets. That was much bigger than Star Wars. Stanley Kubrick, in shooting his film The Shining, burnt down one stage, which meant we were down to 7. Well, we were behind before we even started. To build these giant sets, shoot them, take them down, and build another one and keep going was difficult. I think at one point there were up to 400 people working. They had every carpenter, every bricklayer, etc. They had everyone who could lift up a hammer hammering and making plaster. It was amazing. I would finish shooting, and the next day the set would be rubble, and by noon it would be swept clean and they would be laying out the next set. But I'll tell you, the organization of the Lucasfilm team is incredible. I would walk onto a set in the morning and the paint would be wet. I would have to walk around the edges to look at the set while it was drying. In an hour, it would be dry and we would start shooting. To many Star Wars fans, The Empire Strikes Back was not only a worthy sequel within the franchise, but it had surpassed the original in terms of quality, excitement, and storytelling. The Vader-Luke twist at the film's climax captivated a generation and compelled them to return to theaters for 1983's Return of the Jedi. And now, more than 45 years after its release, Empire has firmly established itself as one of the greatest films in America's cinema history. In 2024, the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors hosted its first major event in the region. Rogue Fun was an extended weekend in the Kennesaw area, featuring a fascinating array of activities for the 200 collectors who traveled there from other states and other countries. The weekend consisted of tours of local collectors' homes to see their incredible Star Wars displays and collections. There were group meals at restaurants, as well as excursions to toy stores. Some collectors hiked the Kennesaw Mountain together, while others visited record shops, museums, and the aquarium. Collectors also participated in the main event that Saturday, on the Star Warsiest of holidays, May the 4th. Attendees were treated to memorable collecting panels, including one from a Georgia club member about the history of Sears and Kenner's Star Wars action figure offerings. 2 longtime Star Wars customizers shared their history of expanding the galaxy that Kenner first began. John Celestri, the Nelvana animator who introduced Boba Fett to the world, spoke about his experience. Steve Sansweet and the writers of the Vintage Collection Archive book gave a presentation about Star Wars publishing. And 2 former Kenner employees shared some of the funniest and most interesting stories from their time working on the Star Wars toy line. After hours, collectors gathered for a modern prototype room sales featuring some of the greatest pre-production pieces of the Hasbro era. And vintage and modern goodness collided after the main ballroom event for the largest Star Wars room sales outside of the Star Wars Celebration conventions. And there were all the magical moments that only these types of weekends create. Rogue Fun was far-reaching in its vision and execution, but felt as intimate and as connective as a regional club event. And for me, it was one of the greatest collecting weekends, if not the greatest, I've ever experienced. And now, the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors is facing its Empire Strikes Back moment. And as Lucas rose to the challenge with Empire, the club is pushing the limits of what has been done in the past to create a sequel that stands above the original. And over the past year or so, the co-creators of this event have allowed me to witness the creation and planning of Rogue Fun 2, Fun and Villainy. Its theme centers around the strange and wondrous cantina sequence from the 1977 film. And they've stepped up their game on everything from the panels to the activities to the swag that they're making for it. The aspect that resonated with me the most was the detail put into every square inch of what they produced. This was clear from the beginning, as they shared images of the life-sized heads of every character present in the cantina. These heads were hand-painted, and in some cases had fur or other accoutrements added to them to make them lifelike. What's the purpose of these incredible heads? they're going to be the centerpieces on the tables in the ballroom for Saturday's main event. Again, they're the centerpieces. And if they're merely table decorations, you can imagine the scope of the club's creativity. The other additions and details will shock and surprise you in the greatest of ways. If Rogue Fun has a running thread, it can be summed up in one word: larger. The Georgia Alliance is welcoming more attendees this year. The hotel and ballroom are bigger. The swag is next level. The vision is stronger. The activities are epic. And the team is working hard to give the community a true reason to come together for a spring weekend in Georgia. This is an overview of the upcoming Rogue Fun 2 event. This is the Georgia Alliance's Empire Strikes Back. This is the itinerary of the long weekend, as told by the ones who created it and those who are delivering it at the end of April. This is a collector's event that should be on every Star Wars fan's radar. This is Fun and Villainy. And this is Star Wars, Prototypes and Production.
From Coruscant to Tatooine, and every planet in between, Star Wars, Prototypes and Production, with your host, David Quinn.
Lord Vader.
It's a trap!
Yes, Master.
That's right. Whoa, we're gonna have company! Have to stand and fight.
The more you tighten your grip, Dark, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
The Force will be with you, always.
What makes Rogue Fun so special? It's very simple. It's a weekend-long event produced by our friends. There are no corporate sponsors, no massive companies behind it. Instead, members of the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors dreamed up a weekend that would cover all of the greatest aspects of Star Wars, of collecting, and of the community. And they put all of it in one location for you. They are not doing this to make money. In fact, for what they spend on the planning, the swag, and the numerous other parts of it, I'd wager that they actually lose a little bit of money on it. But to them, it doesn't matter. It's another chance to work as a team, to be part of a club, to revisit the sandbox that George Lucas created almost 50 years ago, and to offer a weekend that celebrates the creativity, the excitement, and the friendships that has made Star Wars something to celebrate. If you've been in the Star Wars collecting community for a while, you've probably heard about or attended the International Collectors events. These are private, invite-only affairs in which collectors in a specific state in the country will host a series of meetups at their homes, along with regional activities and group meals. Due to the fact that the meetups largely revolve around visiting our friends' homes, the guest lists are unfortunately smaller in scope. Rogue Fun, in a way, is Georgia's version of an international collectors event, grander in size and open to the entire community. And this second iteration, known as Rogue Fun 2 Fun and Villainy, kicks off at the end of this month and runs from Thursday, April 30th to Sunday, May 3rd. This year, the event takes place in Atlanta, Georgia, with activities and excursions in the surrounding area. As of the time of this episode's release, there are only a few tickets left. So if you'd like to join 200 of your fellow collectors, you can become a member of the Georgia Alliance and purchase your ticket online. And like the last event, Rogue Fun attendees are some of the most passionate Star Wars fans and collectors in the galaxy. We'll have friends coming in from the UK and from as far as Sweden. Many of the regional clubs will be represented, as members will be joining us from the Toronto Club, as well as the Pennsylvania Club, the DC Club, the Ohio Group, the Northeast Club, the Wisconsin Cheesehead Garrison, the Florida Club, Seattle Sarlacc Group, the Arizona Modern Prototype Crew, and the Empire State Star Wars Collectors Club. In addition, collectors from those states and many others will be in Georgia for Rogue Fun. So what is the purpose of this episode? Honestly, it's very simple. I had one of the best collecting-related weekends of my life at the last Rogue Fun. And even beyond collecting, it was one of those perfect weekends where everyone genuinely wanted to connect and to make the experience special for those around them. And if you're able to make the trip, I want you to have that same wonderful experience. 2 years later, I'm still buzzing from it. When I look back on my collecting journey, Rogue Fun will always be a part of that highlight reel. So my hope is that after hearing an overview of what Rogue Fun's creators have in store for us at the end of April, that you'd want to join us for the upcoming event. That you'd get a better understanding of the breadth and depth of the event, and that it would encourage you to travel to Georgia, regardless of whether you've been in the community for decades or you're just starting to get connected. And if you can't make this one, I hope hearing about what the Georgia team has planned may interest you in joining a future collectors event of this magnitude. And for my friends that are already on the list and will be attending, my goal for this episode is to catch you up on what is to come. I know life can be hectic, and you may not have had a chance to look at the Rogue Fun Weekend's itinerary. I did a similar episode leading up to the 2024 event, and a number of people told me they found it very helpful. They listened to it on the plane or on the drive to Georgia, and they were better prepared for it as a result. So, to give you the special overview, I've enlisted some of my Georgia Alliance friends to tell us more about the meetups, activities, and moments you won't want to miss. So without further ado, let's dive into what awaits us at Rogue Fun 2, Fun and Villainy. Thursday, April 30th, 2026. Rogue Fun 2, Fun and Villainy officially kicks off with a meetup at Jason Wasulko's house. Jason is a member of the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors, co-host of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, and co-creator of the Rogue Fun Weekends. Here's Jason with a look at his welcome party.
So with events like this, what I like to do is have some sort of pre-event, if you will, just so everybody can get acquainted with each other, and by the time the actual event rolls around, everybody knows each other. The ice has already been broken, and we can just have fun at the actual event itself. And I understand that some people come in early. They might be making travel plans to be there Thursday, to be at Narayan's early Friday morning. So if that's the case, we wanted to host something, and that's why we had the welcome party at my place. And if the weather holds, I'll be showing A New Hope out back in the backyard, so people can sit out there, enjoy the evening. They can also filter into the house, get some dinner. I'll be serving some barbecue. And they could check out my collection if they're inclined to do that. But yeah, this is just a way for everybody to just unwind a little bit, especially if they've just finished traveling, and to settle down and just rub shoulders and break some ice and meet everyone. And that's really all this was intended to be.
Friday, May 1st, 2026. The first full day of Rogue Fun 2 is packed with activities and opportunities to explore all that the Atlanta region has to offer. And the morning will start off with a meetup for all 200 attendees at Narayan Naik's house. Narayan is a member of the Georgia Alliance and co-creator of Rogue Fun as well. Visitors will have the opportunity to tour his monumental collection, known as the Most Atlanta Cantina. The collection focuses on 3 of Star Wars' most iconic characters: Luke Jedi, Boba Fett, and Yoda. But it is an extensive assortment of the entire Kenner line, and expands to the modern Hasbro toy lines, as well as an incredible selection of customs, prototypes, and swag. Here's Narayan to highlight Breakfast with Boba.
Hey David, it's Narayan from Atlanta. Wanted to give some details about the Friday morning event as part of the Rogue Fun 2 Fun and Villainy weekend. And the Friday morning event will be Breakfast with Boba, which will be hosted by myself at my home. And this is going to be a little different than previous things I've hosted, which are usually been, more lunch and dinner events. But this is the second event of the weekend after the opening mixer at Jason's house on Thursday night. And my event will run from approximately 9 to about 12 on Friday morning. But you can arrive anytime, and if you need to stay later, we'll be have you whenever you can come. Breakfast will include selection of incredible New York style bagels from Brooklyn Bagel and Bakery here in Atlanta. We'll have bagels and schmears from that restaurant. In addition, we will have a selection of breakfast sandwiches and coffee from Panera Bread, along with some fruit and beverages for everyone's enjoyment. Come at your leisure, enjoy seeing the collection. We'll also have Roger Christian's Galaxy Built on Hope documentary playing in the home theater in the Moss Atlantic Cantina. We'll also have the pool open in case anybody wants to take a dip in the swimming pool or in the hot tub while they're here. You're more than welcome. We will have special Moss Atlantis swag that will be Cantina themed at the event. In addition, there's another piece of swag which I haven't announced yet, but you'll definitely notice it when you're here. And this special piece of swag, also selected numbers of the swag will have a special sticker that you'll be able to redeem to get a Moss Atlantic Cantina bottle opener. We will also have the Chase coasters with the Greedo, Walrus Man, and Hammerhead themed color designs, with a separate scavenger hunt where you need to find the Hallmark itty bitty plush characters corresponding to those coasters. And if you find all 3 of those, you can then get a special bonus set of foil blue Snaggletooth and red Snaggletooth coasters. So look forward to seeing everybody hanging out, and again, come join us here at the Moss Atlantic Cantina for the Breakfast with Boba event. Thank you.
After Narayan's event, the afternoon is open for collectors to partake in the activities that interest them. For some, hanging out at the hotel and spending a few hours with friends may be the perfect way to utilize that precious time. For others who are looking to travel to sites, stores, and locales in the Atlanta area, the Georgia crew created an excursion wish book to give visitors some appealing and fun options. Here's Jerry Hancock, member of the Georgia Alliance, panelist of the first Rogue Fun, and part of this year's Rogue Fun Planning Committee, to give us a peek at some of the activities in the wish book.
Hi, David. It's Jerry Hancock. As we're gearing up for Rogue Fun 2, just wanted to take a moment to go over some of the excursion options that we have for the event. We actually did an excursion wish book that will be available via PDF and maybe a few hard copies. We'll see. But definitely check out some of these things. I lived in Atlanta for over 30 years and pretty familiar with most of these. So figured I would just give you guys a little bit of local insight on some of the things that you can do in the area. First off, we'll talk about the Georgia Aquarium and the World of Coca-Cola. Both of those are in downtown Atlanta. They're actually on the same campus just across the green space from each other. They're located on it's a 20-acre campus, but the Georgia Aquarium, massive aquarium. If you've not seen it, it is a wonder. It is the largest aquarium in the United States. Has 7 galleries, hundreds of species, thousands of animals, 11 million gallons. It is a must see. Probably, if you do that in the world of Coca-Cola, you're looking at really about a half a day if you try and do both of them in the same visit. But the world of Coca-Cola, obviously, Atlanta being the home of Coca-Cola, John Pemberton invented it at a drugstore in downtown Atlanta, actually right on the edge of the Georgia State University campus. The building is still there. This is the second World of Coca-Cola in Atlanta. They outgrew the first one. This one opened, I believe, in 2010. They opened it up. But yeah, pretty cool thing to see if you're a fan of Coca-Cola for sure. 92,000 square feet in the facility. There's actually a bottling facility inside of it where you can actually see the process of how they bottle Coca-Cola around the world. They have over 60 flavors in a tasting room that you can try. If you go, you have to try the Beverly. It's great. Haha. If you know anything about Beverly, you get the joke. But yeah, definitely check out World of Coca-Cola and Georgia Aquarium. They're actually just across the what's called the Downtown Connector. It's I-85 and I-75 joined together through the middle of downtown Atlanta. So if you go through downtown, you'll be on the connector, but it's just across the connector from the Center for Puppetry Arts, which we'll be doing on Friday night. If you don't know anything about Atlanta, as far as history, Atlanta was a railroad town. It used to be called Terminus for all you Walking Dead fans. But they changed the name in the 1840s, I believe it is, changed it to Atlanta. It didn't become the state capital until 1868 after the Civil War. Milledgeville was the state capital of Georgia prior to Atlanta. But because of the railroad hub, that was one of the main reasons that Atlanta became the capital. It really was the center of what industry and transportation was. So Atlanta's always been a transportation hub. Today, obviously, the home of Delta Airlines, so still holding that title. But because of that, I'll be actually doing a historic walking tour at Ponce City Market, which is on the east side of downtown, located on Ponce de Leon Avenue, in between Ponce de Leon Avenue and North Avenue. And it is the original 1926 Sears Roebuck and Company Southeast Distribution Center and retail store. 2.1 million square feet in this thing. And it actually sits at a very important intersection. Back in the 1860s, and they were building the rail line through there. There is a rail corridor that goes through that general area. Today, it is the Atlanta Beltline. The Beltline is basically the city's green space. It's basically like a donut-shaped park that goes around the city. Great place to exercise, jog, run, ride your bike. But that rail bed, when they were constructing it in the 1860s, railroad workers found a natural spring that was coming out of the side of the rail bed. It was this horrid sulfur-smelling water that the railroad workers believed had restorative or healing properties. And so they named it after the famed Fountain of Youth, Ponce de Leon. So that's why Ponce de Leon Avenue is named what it is. Ponce de Leon Avenue was the east side thoroughfare of the city, goes all the way out to Decatur. And they had a trolley car that would take people out to what was called Ponce de Leon Park, and you could go drink some of this smelly water. Well, eventually they built an amusement park there in 1907. It was known as the Coney Island of the South. They had all sorts of rides and Ferris wheels and things of that nature. And they tore that down in 1924 and began construction on the Sears building. So right next door, across the railroad corridor, the Beltline there, is the Ford factory lofts. I believe they built that in 1914. That's where they were building Model Ts. And you also have right across the street was the former Ponce de Leon ballpark, which is where I was home to the Atlanta Crackers, and of course had the segregated baseball leagues back then in Atlanta, the Negro League team, the Atlanta Black Crackers. But they both played at Ponce de Leon Park, which was right across the street from the building. So that'll be a part of the walking tour that I do as well. But some pretty neat history down there as far as railroads and baseball and, of course, Sears Roebuck. So that one's pretty cool. That is 12.8 miles away from the hotel, but it is, like I say, just east of downtown. And I'll be doing that walking tour on Friday at 2:00. And it's I say just down the street from the Center of Puppetry Arts. Geographically, it is, but if you know anything about Atlanta traffic, that's about a 20 to 30-minute drive. But yeah, it would be a convenient thing if you go to Breakfast with Boba at Narayan's place on Friday morning and you want to come do the tour at 2 o'clock with me at Ponce City Market. I would suggest carpooling. Parking can be a little crazy in this part of town. There is some underground parking available, but carpooling would make it so much easier. Right now, I've got 13 on the tour. We could add a couple more. If anybody's interested, just reach out, contact me, and let me know. And then once we finish up that tour, certainly by 4 o'clock or so, we can hang out, hopefully have a beer. I'm trying to get us up onto the roof. On the roof of the building, there's actually an amusement park, which is in a nod to the old Ponce de Leon amusement park. They have a midway and stuff like that. Those things they're cool, but the views are stunning. The problem is way I understand they might be renovating the mini golf course that's up there. So if that's the case, we might not be able to get on the roof. I'm not sure. We'll see. But anyway, once we finish up at Ponce City Market, it's just down the street to Center for Puppetry Arts. You take Ponce de Leon Avenue West over to Spring Street and go just north on Spring Street, and that's where the Center for Puppetry Arts is located. We have a similar facility like this. Ponce City Market has a lot of like restaurants, eating, but most of it's office space and stuff like that upstairs, and apartments and things like that. But if you're looking for a place with a lot of food options, I highly recommend Marietta Square Market, which is near downtown Marietta or the Marietta Square. Marietta also has a lot of railroad history, and what is now the Marietta Square Market is right on the railroad corridor going through downtown Marietta. It is actually an 18,000 plus square foot railroad warehouse is where they built it. They got over 20 restaurants in there, all sorts of fare, 3 bars, a lot of different options. So if you got a big group and you're looking for, some variety, that might be a good option. It's just north of where the hotel and the baseball stadium are. Marietta Square Market would be 6.7 miles north of the hotel, out near downtown Marietta, which is sort of the county seat for Cobb County, where the hotel is located. A little further out that way, out I-75, you also have the Southern Museum of Civil War and Locomotive History. It is in downtown Kennesaw, yes, which is near Kennesaw Mountain. For those of you who came to Rogue Fun 1, I might have done the Kennesaw Mountain Hike. That is one of our historic battlefields from the Civil War. So just around the corner from Kennesaw Mountain battlefield is downtown Kennesaw, and there they have the Southern Museum of Civil War and Locomotive History. And if you know anything about it, they actually made a Disney movie about it, something called The Great Locomotive Chase. Basically what happened was in 1862, in the middle of the Civil War, a number of Union spies teamed up and basically hijacked a Southern locomotive known today as the General. It was locomotive number 3 on the Western Atlantic Railroad. They basically stole the General and then went north on the Western Atlantic Railroad, which goes all the way up to Chattanooga, and basically destroyed everything in their path, including the telegraph lines. And the South didn't have a whole lot of those to begin with. So, but they do have the locomotive number 3, the General, is on display at the museum, along with all sorts of artifacts from the Civil War, both regarding railroads as well as the war itself and the Battle of Kennesaw Mountain. I think they have a few artifacts of that as well. So those are definitely 2 cool things to see out there. If you have an interest in Civil War history, definitely check that out. Downtown, right around the corner, this might be another twofer if you can plan it right. Around the corner, about a block and a half away from Ponce City Market, is the Jimmy Carter Library and Museum. That is basically our presidential library for the Carter administration. I was a big fan of Jimmy Carter and have done research at the Carter Library. It is a great thing to see. A lot of really cool history. There's a great permanent exhibit that's there. They have all sorts of temporary exhibits that come and go over time. And they also have, obviously, all of the Carter papers, which is where I did some of my research. They have the sealed vault as well, which you have to have CIA to get you back there. But pretty cool thing to see is the Jimmy Carter Presidential Library. And then just north of there is obviously Piedmont Park. If you know anything about Atlanta, Piedmont Park is sort of like Atlanta's Central Park. Well, adjacent to Piedmont Park is the Atlanta Botanical Gardens. And if you're looking for something nature, just to get a nice leisurely walk, just for some quiet time, maybe curl up with a book, just to chill, I highly recommend the Botanical Gardens. Been there since the 1970s. A number of different gardens that they have there. My favorite is the Asian Bonsai Garden. Really cool to see. Also features the Fuqua Conservatory inside the conservatory, actually 17,000 square feet. They have an indoor rainforest with all sorts of bird and turtle species that live there, some fish. They also have an attached desert portion of the conservatory that has all different types of desert plant life. And they also have a permanent orchid exhibit now. So definitely check that out. I think it's about $36 now to get into the Botanical Gardens, but well worth the money. Beautiful place to see. They also have the largest collection of Chihuly artwork. Dale Chihuly from Seattle does blown glass artwork that basically they use as centerpieces throughout the gardens. So if you're a fan of Chihuly work, then definitely check that out. We also have the Battery Atlanta. That's basically the sort of pedestrian area around the Brave Stadium there, just north of our hotel. I believe it's walking distance from the hotel, if I'm not mistaken, at Truist Park. Definitely go and check that out. There's a few eating options down there, mixed use development, home to the Braves. There's a lot of baseball history and things like that. And like I say, a few eating options there as well as some sort of almost like a midway that they have. So that's pretty cool. We also have a number of options if you're looking for toys, if you're on a toy hunt. We've got Cobb Antique Market, which is definitely a must see. We've hosted some of our Georgia Alliance events at Cobb Antique Market. One of our members, Jason TK Sparrow, is manager and owner of Atlanta Vintage Toys, AVT. They have one of their stores is located inside Cobb Antique Market, as well as a couple of other toy vendors there as well. We also have Second Chance Toys and Collectibles. Don't miss that. One of the largest collectible toy stores in Atlanta. Father and son team runs it. Great people. They've got all sorts of classic toys, Motu, classic monsters, G.I. Joe, Marvel, you name it, they've got it. One of the old Atlanta institutions. You can't talk about, toys and collectibles and comic books without talking about Atlanta's own Dr. No's Comics. Been there forever. They were an Atlanta institution way back in the 80s, right when I first moved to Atlanta. Dr. No's is where I'd go get my crack. But great comic shop if you're looking for that. We also have Urban Pop Comic Company. I'm not familiar with them. They're about 19 miles away. If you're really looking for a drive just south of the airport, which is on the south side of Atlanta, is Noonan. Noonan is the southern edge of Metro Atlanta today. They also have Full Circle Toys down there. They've got a great selection. It's right off Interstate 85, like I say, just south of the airport. So that's definitely one worth checking out as well. But we got a lot of Atlanta locals that are going to be at Rogue Fun too. So if you have any questions, just pull one of us aside. We'd be glad to help you out and help navigate the city. Just know 285 is a giant circle, goes around the city, and then 7585 sort of X's through the middle of the city. But outside of the traffic, it's a pretty cool city. Lots of things to see and do. But I'm looking forward to having you guys. Welcome to Atlanta, y'all. And hopefully we'll be seeing y'all soon. Thanks, David.
Did you know that Netflix's Stranger Things was largely filmed in locations around Georgia? Jason, who's a fellow fan of the series, put together a map for attendees wanting to take a tour of the shooting locales.
Atlanta has been known as the Hollywood of the South as of late. There's a lot of filming that happened here. A lot of the Avengers, Marvel stuff was filmed here. But one of the big ones is Stranger Things, and they've gone around the city to pick different locations to be a set for Hawkins, Indiana. It was all here in Atlanta. And over time, my kids and I have gone to different places We visited the mall. We visited Hopper Shack. Just recently, we went up to Rome, Georgia to see Vecna's house. And my in-laws live like 20 minutes away from downtown Hawkins, Indiana, which is Jackson, Georgia. So I put together a tour, if people were inclined, of filming locations so they could, if they wanted to, as an excursion Saturday morning, go out and hit some of these spots and take photos. The only one that's changed is the Hawkins lab. Up until about a month ago or so, that's when they started demolishing it. So it doesn't exist anymore. But most of them are available. So if people were inclined to do that, they wanted to mix things up a little bit and do something non-Star Wars, they could go out and see some of these Stranger Things filming locations.
On Friday evening, Rogue Fund attendees are invited to a private party at the Center for Puppetry Arts. As someone who grew up loving both Sesame Street and the Muppets, I personally cannot wait to visit the museum and to see iconic characters from my childhood, and to explore all of it with 200 friends. And you can tell your friends you had cocktails with Kermit. Here's the wonderful Tim Theall, another Georgia Club member and passionate supporter of the museum, to share a sneak preview of what to expect on Friday night.
This is Tim Theall, letting you know about one of the great side adventures planned for Rogue Fund 2. On Friday, May 1st at 6 p.m., Rogue Fund ticket holders will be treated to a private party at the Center for Puppetry Arts in downtown Atlanta, where we'll have a light dinner and drinks will be available. If you've ever been to the center, you know what a magical place it is. If you've never been, as a Star Wars fan, you owe it to yourself to go. Besides a permanent display on the history of puppetry throughout the world, including an actual Slimer puppet from Ghostbusters, you will be astounded by the Henson Wing. There you'll see all of your favorite Muppets from Sesame Street and The Muppet Show, and then my favorite, actual props, mock-ups, and puppets from The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth. It's astounding to be in the presence of these incredible pieces of art and really soak in the detail and craftsmanship that went into them. It's one of my favorite places. I'm sure you're going to love it. We're going to have a blast, and we have the whole place to ourselves. So plan on coming. Plan on coming to Rogue Fund 2, and definitely plan on this jaunt over to the Center for Puppetry Arts. It is an experience you'll never forget. I hope to see you there.
Saturday, May 2nd, 2026. For Rogue Fund attendees, Saturday is the main event. The morning and early afternoon are open to guests, and during the first Rogue Fund weekend, many of us went to breakfast and lunch together, and then took over the hotel's courtyard, celebrating May the 4th with some shots of blue milk and some great conversations. Beginning at 1 p.m., the Georgia Alliance is hosting another epic celebration in the Hilton's ballroom. And over the next 12 hours, attendees will be treated to a series of specifically curated Star Wars and collector panels, a 3-course dinner, and the perfect way to wrap up the night with the best room sales event outside of the Star Wars Celebration Convention. Let's take a quick look at the upcoming panels. 2 legendary collectors, Duncan Jenkins and Steve Sansweet, will highlight their collector journeys and how they're working to build the ultimate Star Wars museum. Here's Duncan on what he and Steve have planned for all of us.
Hey, David Quinn, this is Duncan Jenkins. I'm looking forward to seeing you and a bunch of other people at Rogue Fund 2. And myself and Steve Sansweet will be doing a panel on our collecting journey. So we're going to talk a little bit about who we are and how we started collecting, some of the fun adventures that we've had over the years. For those of you that don't know, Steve Sansweet has written several books on Star Wars collecting, has the world's largest collection of Star Wars memorabilia, worked for Lucasfilm for a few years, and many other accolades that I'll let him share during the presentation. But he and I are two of the founding members, founding collectors for the Saga Museum of Star Wars Memorabilia as we work towards creating a public-facing museum of Star Wars memorabilia. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that as well. But really looking forward to seeing everybody and having a great time that weekend.
And a Rogue Fun event wouldn't be complete without some Kenner stories. Former Kenner creatives Tim Effler, Howard Bollinger, and Alton Takayasu will share humorous and fascinating memories from their time designing toys for the Star Wars line. Let's check in with Tim to hear more about this panel.
Hi, my name is Tim Effler. I'll be attending the Rogues Fun event in Atlanta the first weekend in May, along with my colleagues Howard Bollinger, the Senior Vice President of Product Development at Kenner, along with Alton Takayasu. You may be familiar with my work on Star Wars and Jurassic Park, but not know Alton's. I got to tell you, he was one of the most prolific designers during the golden age of action figures at Kenner. And he worked on lines like Ghostbusters, Silverhawks, Mask, Centurions. What else did he do? Let's see, RoboCop, Beetlejuice, and many more. And then Howard has his hands in everything we did. So I hope you have time to attend. It's going to be a good time, and we're anxious to share our stories of all the fun and excitement we had while working at Kenner. It'll be a blast. Hope to see you there.
In keeping with the Fun and Villainy Cantina theme of the second Rogue Fun weekend, special effects makeup artist Nick Maley will present a panel on what it was like to make some of the strange and captivating Cantina creatures for A New Hope, as well as developing Yoda for The Empire Strikes Back. Nick, why don't you introduce yourself and share a little bit about what you'll cover in your panel?
Hey, hi guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing you all at Rogue Fun 2 coming up in Atlanta on the 1st to the 3rd of May. You know, we're right on top of Star Wars Day. How could that be bad? So here I am in my little museum in the Caribbean. This is part of my my section where I talk about the Mos Eisley Cantina. You know, people know me as that Yoda guy because of all the work that I did on 3 of the 4 versions of Yoda for Empire Strikes Back. And that isn't the panel that I'm doing this time, so you'll have to invite me back again to talk about that another time. But for now, I would say, you know, come and see me at my table. You're going to be able to ask me questions about building the 3 of the 4 versions of Yoda that are in Empire Strikes Back. You know, on Star Wars, we as a team, we built Chewbacca, we built the Wampa, the Tauntaun, the Minot, the Ugnaughts, 4 versions of Yoda, and pretty much 60% of the creatures for the Mos Eisley Cantina. The Cantina, I was there. I was standing in the room when they were when Greedo and Han were having their standoff. I can tell you about that too. The creation of those creatures at a time when nobody knew what that movie was going to be. I mean, we weren't impressed to be there with George Lucas. We were impressed to be there with Alec Guinness. Who was George Lucas? I mean, we knew he'd done something in the States, but hey, we were happy to be working. The thing is that the Mos Eisley Cantina became an icon in many ways. Even though we thought we were making a movie for 12-year-olds, it's Gunslingers and Wizards in Space. Who was going to take that seriously? I'm going to tell you the full inside story about the making of all the different creatures, who were the people that were key to making that happen, why some of those decisions were made, why some of those characters got dropped along the way. If you don't come and see the panel, you're going to miss a lot. I'll see you at Rogue Fun 2, coming up soon.
And the Rogue Fun team is honored to welcome Roger Christian, who won an Academy Award for his work as a set decorator for A New Hope. He designed some of the most recognizable aspects of the Star Wars universe, including the interior of the Millennium Falcon, the lovable astromech droid R2-D2, and the weapon of choice for Jedi across the galaxy, the lightsaber. Here's Roger giving us a taste of what's to come, as well as what he's planning on bringing, and why this event is extra special to him.
Hi everyone, Roger Christian here. I'll be at Rogue Fun 2. Looking forward to meeting lots of fans there. I haven't been to Atlanta in a very long time. I was just reading from Cinema Alchemist. George Lucas kindly gave me a forward for the reprint. I could tell you about the day that Roger showed me a flash handle from a 40s camera and suggested it would work as a lightsaber hilt. It was an inspired idea that cost nothing. That's the kind of thing I really enjoy, and it was also probably one of the 20 inspired ideas that Roger brought to me that day. It's a very, very honoured that George actually gave me this. It's and I'll have some copies of the book there to sign and sell. I'll try to have a few of the Blu-rays. There was a Spam special I'm working on, which has every story you can ever think of about how we put that film together. I will try to bring, depending on how I'm traveling and customs, everything nowadays, but I will try to bring this little baby, which is my Graplex version of the Luke's original, and lots of photographs and things like that. But most of all, it's to meet and greet and share some stories. I know I've got a couple of panels. Those will be interesting. And of course, I'll be there with Nick Maley, who I have not seen since we made that first film together. Back in London in 1975 we started, but Nick joined in 1976 when we moved to Boreham Wood. So really looking forward to this, and see you all there.
In addition to the panels and the dinner, the Rogue Fun team will also offer the chance to view some beautiful exhibitions, to purchase some impressive exclusives, and to support some great causes.
Hey David, this is Narayan again. I'm going to give a few details about the Wretched Hive Cantina Playset exhibition, which will be at Rogue Fun 2 Fun and Villainy. This is a very special curated exhibition that will showcase all the different Cantina playsets from all eras, all lines at the event. We will have a special side room away from the main ballroom in which all these playsets will be displayed. These playsets will range from vintage era Creature Cantina, Sears Cantina Adventure set, all the way to modern things like the Vintage Collection HasLab, Mos Eisley Cantina, the Lego Cantina. Also will feature custom creations, including selections from Galactic Heroes line, the vintage Creature Cantina customized to be a more modern update, a Black Series custom cantina, and so forth. But look forward to showcasing this amazing display. I've been working on a lot of these personally. I've also had a lot of collectors that are donating their sets for the display, and definitely want to express my thanks and appreciation to those individuals who have worked to get this exhibit up and running. So look forward to sharing that with all of you. Make sure you check out the Wretched Hive playset exhibition at Fun and Villainy.
Hey, David. Ryan Shaw here. Here with
Gary Weaver and Alex Weaver.
And Gary and I did the presentation for Rogue Fun 1 on customizing. We enjoyed it. We had a great time. We're currently getting things together to bring to the show. I'm working on some models and things for the displays. I'm working on my swag. Helped Jason out with the Wookiee Monster giveaway figure, which, if I say so, turned out pretty good. And Gary's got a few surprises up his sleeve.
Since Gary's not presenting this year, I decided to put all my energy in making crazy stuff for the show. So the biggest and most important thing that I like is a special Rogue Fun 2 astromech that is based on the Sears Cantina grabber droid that I was working on through Toy Weaver. And we've done a special colorway in a teal blue with purple accents and orange accents that is made to mimic the Rogue Fun 2 color scheme. and it's going to be limited to about 75 pieces at the show. I'm pulling a very limited number to be available on Toy Weaver after the event. But at the show, you'll be able to find me. Those droids will be $50. They are a full injection molded rubber plastic, the whole 9 yards, toy paint, looks just like a vintage astromech droid. So doing that, and then I'm also working on what started as a little gag toy for Roger, a prototype R2-D2 done into vintage style with a card back and custom graphics and everything. Did that, and then also did a Yoda for Nick. So I'll be able to have autograph stuff for both people at the show. And then I'm going to bring a limited number of card backs for people that are interested. Don't know what the pricing might be for those. We might just give them away. We haven't decided yet. But we'll also have figures and card backs available for those, along with, I'm trying to think what else I've got here. We have special card backs I did for Narayan and Mark with their Ponda Baba coins that they made. So I'm going to be carding up a couple retro Ponda Baba figures and maybe some of my custom Ponda Babas that are kind of a re-envisioned figure. So I've got plenty, and I'm going to bring some stuff from previous show back with me. So we'll be sitting at a table or be walking around, have plenty of stuff for people to peruse and decide what they want to pick up. So, and then Alex is done a bunch of stuff, so I'm going to let her chat a bit.
Well, hi, I am Alex. I did one of the posters for the Rogue Fun 2 event. It was of the Mos Eisley Cantina, and it was lineless, solid color, pretty cool looking gradient map piece. I've got an alternate for that. I will also be bringing the initial poster is everyone's going to get one, anybody attending, but the blue one will just be a little extra. And then I've got 3 Astromech Sodamechs, series of 3 of those, and those will be available. And then I also have the 2 Grabber Droid exclusive artwork art pieces that I did for the cards for those. So I will also have prints of that, and hopefully a sketchbook with live pieces or just sketches, inks I've done for either display or purchase, either one. And that's, I think, pretty much everything I'm bringing. So that should work.
So quite the talented family. We also, there may be some surprises too, but the main thing we're looking forward to is seeing our friends again, and this time having a little more time to be able to hang out with them. So definitely. Thanks again, David.
Hey, David, this is Narayan here from Atlanta. Just wanted to give you some details about the Swag Challenge competition at Rogue Fun 2 Fun and Villainy. As in previous events, swag is a big part of any event hosted by the Georgia Alliance. And last event, the first Rogue Fun, we had a good number of attendees bringing swag to distribute to the other attendees. And for the second time, we're also going to be having the Swag Challenge competition. And this is just a competition for the first, second, and third place, best swag in show, as voted on by the attendees themselves. Just like last time, we will have some special trophies for the winners. The trophies this time, since we have a cantina theme, will be actually blue snaggletooth trophies that will be painted gold, silver, and bronze, and put on a nice base. And no vintage snaggletooth figures were harmed. These are resin casts of that figure, which have been painted up nicely. So good luck to everyone. There's already been some great swag submissions. Look forward to all the other swag that's going to be announced here in the coming weeks prior to the event. So good luck, everybody.
So this year our silent auction will benefit Rancho Obi-Wan just like it did with Rogue Fun 1, but this time it's Grabber Droids that Jason 3D printed. Grabber Droid, it's just a droid that was on the back of one of the Tatooine play sets, a little small thing that only appeared once, and we gravitated towards it. Our buddy Gary kind of made a model of it at one point, and we gravitated towards that this year as our silent auction to benefit Rancho. So anyway, we sent those off to a bunch of different artists, and we're starting to get some of those back. They're looking really cool. It's going to be a silent auction throughout the event. I've heard rumors that there's going to be a Wampa. Jason's one I've seen. It's a Coca-Cola version. That looks awesome. So, there again, have them set up on a table with a piece of paper in front of them, and you sign up and to say what you're willing to pay, and all those will be benefiting Rancho. I think I said that enough, but we've been really fortunate to have Steve come to the last Rogue Fun, and he's going to be at this one, so you'll be able to say hi to him, and he'll be presenting. We'll see you guys at the event.
Hey David, this is Narayan from Atlanta. Just wanted to give some details about the Rogue Fun charity auction. This will happen on Saturday, May the 2nd during the main event at the latter part of the dinner hour from about 6:30 to 7 o'clock. We have lots of great items up for auction that we are listing in the auction post in the event group, so you can preview what is going to be available. A lot of these have a cantina theme to them, so these range from licensed products and exclusives, including limited edition pin sets, patch sets made by fans, custom action figures, even posters for related events, and including a few very limited pieces made by Gary Weaver and Tony McIntyre and Thomas Merritt, who's made a very nice illustration of the Cantina characters. So make sure to have a look at the auction post within the event group for a preview of all of the great items that will be up for auction, and the proceeds from the auction will be benefiting Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, our preferred charity of choice. And please, everyone, bid generously. Thank you.
The room sales will take place in the ballroom after the main event and will only be open to attendees. Collectors will have the opportunity to set up the items they brought with them on tables in the ballroom and can buy, sell, and trade Star Wars items and other collectibles. If you're a hardcore collector, you'll definitely want to be at room sales. With the caliber of collectors attending from across the country and around the world, some of the rarest and most exciting pieces show up for sale there, and I've certainly picked up a few grails over the years at room sales. If you're a modern prototype collector, I can promise you there are going to be some amazing items for sale this year. And many of the most passionate modern collectors will be in attendance and will likely bring some special pre-production gems. And for the vintage collector, you'll have your choice from an array of areas. The Kenner figures, the vintage prototypes, the displays, the posters, original artwork, boxed items and playsets, international releases, bootlegs, microfigures, Kenner employee items. These are the types of collectibles we're expecting to see at this year's event. And if you're into customs or swag, you can usually find some key pieces you may have missed over the years. Most collectors are looking for that special souvenir to bring home from the event. And there's always something special at room sales. If you've never been to a room sales at a convention or during a toy show weekend, the atmosphere is relaxed and jovial. People spend as much time talking and hanging out as they do shopping the floor. And the ballroom belongs to Rogue Fun until 1 a.m., giving us more time to be together in one room. Sunday, May 3rd, 2026. To officially conclude an unforgettable weekend, attendees are invited to travel down the road from the hotel to Dave & Buster's, the arcade, sports bar, and restaurant. Here's Glen with the details.
Hey guys, here's info on the Sunday event for Rogue Fun. It is going to be at Dave & Buster's, which is a few miles away from the hotel. It's going to be $20, and you're going to get food and soft drinks, and I think some game tokens. Not sure how many game tokens. I didn't get that information, but you definitely are going to get food and drinks. It's going to be from 10 a.m. to noon. That way, everybody can sleep in a little bit, and then people that need to catch an early flight can leave and catch an early flight. I think there are still going to be plans if people are hanging out. We're going to hang out for a little bit, see how things go. But as of right now, it ends at noon. But like I said, if people want to hang, we're going to hang. We're down to hang. It's Sunday. What else are we going to do besides hang around and talk Star Wars? So anyway, there is also beer taps, like pay for your own beer taps, but we're in Georgia, so I don't think that opens till like 12:30 on a Sunday. I really don't know, but don't expect that at 10 in the morning. We're in the Bible Belt here, and people don't want to sell alcohol that early on a Sunday. Heck, up until a couple of years ago, we couldn't even buy it on a Sunday. But anyway, that's the Dave & Buster's event, Sunday, 10 to noon, $20. It'll include finger foods and drink, and soft drinks, not hard drinks, and some games. So I hope to see everybody there. Can't wait to see everybody at Rogue Fun here in a couple of weeks. Thanks.
So that is the itinerary for the upcoming weekend of Rogue Fun 2, Fun and Villainy, which runs from Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd, 2026. The team is down to the last handful of tickets, so if you're interested in being there at the end of April, you can purchase tickets on the Blue Milk LLC webpage if you do a search for the phrase Rogue Fun 2 Itinerary on Google. And you can connect with the Georgia Alliance, as well as with 200 of the collectors attending Rogue Fun on the Georgia Alliance of Star Wars Collectors Facebook page, also known as the GASWC. Once you're a member there, you'll have access to the Rogue Fun weekend page, where you can get all the information you need about the trip. Here's to another incredible weekend of connecting and collecting. And here's to more adventures, together, on Star Wars, prototypes, and production.